Hello everyone, and welcome back to my weekly list update. Here I talk about albums I've listened to for the first time recently, and share a few first impressions and thoughts. I cover big releases, classics, and independent artists on these videos. So if you've got an undiscovered musical gem or an underrated classic, be sure to drop them in the comments to see me talk about it, possibly as soon as next week. Empress of Allure by Stella Dolce. Another artist I found through the For You page, Stella Dolce's 2022 album Empress of Allure is an electronic dance banger. It does sound a bit underpolished in parts, but the unique sounds and textures of the album more than make up for it in my opinion. Definitely give this one a listen and be sure to give them a follow below. I'm looking forward to seeing what projects they've got coming up next. Tales from Cazalore, Nathan Apollo. I was a little bit worried going into this album with all of the scenes, skits throughout, but the songs are actually really solid, and the storyline throughout has a kind of historical parallelism with today's world that I really like. I would say more, but I have a funny feeling the random number generator says I'm going to talk about this album this week. Go give Nathan Apollo a follow below, and keep an eye out for the full review, which should be out by approximately tomorrow. Dima Havsmorker, I hope. Sorry for mispronouncing the name. This ambient album has now become one of my favorites in the genre, or rather favorite EP, with spaced out synths and the sounds of nature with a little bit of electronic dance music. Definitely worth a listen for anyone looking for an album you can just simply vibe out to, or appreciate some of the deeper musical moments of. Shout out to Havsmorker, and I'm probably saying their name wrong, I'm sorry, but be sure to drop them a follow, once again, in the description below. Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim. This is the epitome of just because you did it first doesn't mean you did it best. I don't think this is a bad album by any means, but it does feel early in their own sound, which was where hip-hop was at the time. But I have heard much better from this combo later on. The Minstrel Show by Little Brother. Honestly, this is going to sound a little weird, but this would be a better sequel to College Dropout than Late Registration if you completely ignore how music works. Stakes is High by De La Soul. This started kind of slow when I was worried about getting on the internet and saying I didn't like this highly acclaimed rap classic. Luckily, the album really does pick up after the first few songs. A solid continuation of sounds established by groups like Tribe Called Quest and further developed by features to this album like Mos Def and Common. This was a great listen with some great J Dilla production throughout. Speedin' Bullet to Heaven by Kid Cudi. You know, lately I've been feeling like I haven't been as critical when I've been listening to music lately. And I think it's partially just because I've been liking a lot of albums I've been listening to lately as well. Listening to this album reminds me that I do have quality control, however, because this many instances of Beavis and Butthead would be to any album's detriment. All Eyes on Me by Tupac. This album was both overrated and underrated when I was finished listening to it. The first disc is absolutely phenomenal, really showcasing why Tupac was such a unique talent and really stood out in G-Funk with his gruff yet melodic delivery. The second disc doesn't necessarily get worse, but it doesn't burn as bright as the first disc. Still a fantastic listen for anyone who hasn't listened to Tupac. You should definitely start at this album. The Don Killuminati, The 7 Day Theory by Machiavelli. Actually, if you're a new Pac listener, start here. The raps are a bit stronger, the beats meld a little bit more, and it doesn't run anywhere near as long as All Eyes on Me. Tupac's been getting his flowers since he died for a reason, and I think albums like this showcase why. 10,000 Gex by 100 Gex. Wow, this album fucking kicked ass. Even compared to their last albums, the songs here hit so much harder and have a more diverse pool of sonic influences. There's a motherfucking ska song on here. Already one of my favorite albums of the year. I Am Greater Than I Was by 21 Savage. It was okay. 21 songs with J. Cole and Gambino are definitely the biggest highlights from the album, but this was definitely still a step ahead of what he first came out with. And that's it for this week's update. Be sure to let me know your favorite track from any of these albums, or give them a listen yourself, and I'll see y'all for the next review. Peace.